Hey, I'm Chip, and if your washing machine is squealing or just dribbling water in when you start your wash, then I'm going to show you how to fix it. And I'm going to show you a neat workaround that you can do while you're waiting for your new part to come in. So let's get to it.
Okay, let's talk about water valves. So, how to check your water valves? If your machine is squealing, and when you turn it on regular and you push the button, and when the water starts to go in there, it just squeals. It makes a loud noise. Then most likely your cold water valve is starting to fail. Most consumers use cold water as their wash temperature. I don't know why people do that. Now, there's different ways to do that, but a lot of people don't realize they might use hot water. But if your cold water valve is failing, then when it gets to the rinse cycle, the machine's going to stop, pump out, and it's just going to sit there, and you're going to open the lid and there's nothing but a bunch of dead clothes in there that are still wet, and you say, well, they're not spinning out. Well, actually they're not rinsing, and the reason is if you look at this, most machines say all cold rinses. And remember that squealing, and there's going to be two symptoms. It's either going to start squealing when it tries to fill, or it's just going to dribble. So all your rinses are cold, so it's going to stop when it gets to the rinse cycle if that cold water valve has failed. So how are we going to check this? Well, we need to put it in service diagnostic mode, and the way to do that is you take this big knob, you rotate it to the left. I always go left until I stop on 12 again. And then 3 clicks to the right, 1, 2, 3. 1 click to the left, and 1 click back right. And if you'll notice, all these lights are flashing, all except for the lid lock. Now that you're ready to put it in a mode here. In service diagnostic mode is going to be when the cycle complete and the final spin, or the second and third from the right are on. So let's do that. Alright, we have the second and third to the right. We're going to push the button, all the lights should go out. Now you might see flashing buttons here, but I see solid. It's because of the frame rate of most cameras. I think if you select 60 it might. But anyway, if you see flashing lights, I'm seeing solid lights. So let's put it in service diagnostic mode. Alright, all the lights went off. That means I'm in service diagnostic mode. If I push it again, the lid will lock. But I don't want to check the lid lock, I want to check the water valves. So I know 1 click clockwise should turn on the cold water valve. If we raise the lid and push the button, look at there. See how that water's just dribbling in? That means that cold water valve has failed, and it's dribbling in. And what will happen, the machine, when you push the button to start it and it starts to fill with water, the machine starts a timer, and that timer's a safety feature, and it knows how much water should go through that valve, and if it goes through that valve too long, it will spill out over the top and flood your house. So it'll shut the machine off and nothing will happen, and you think the machine's broke. So we know that cold water valve is something wrong. And the way to check that, let's check the hot water valve. So we turn the cold water valve off. 1 more click to the right turns on this light, which is going to be the hot water valve. And when we start at, we've got plenty of water. So we know that our cold water valve is compromised and needs to be changed. So if I wanted to do a wash, I said, well, I'm getting hot water, let's just make a hot water wash. That's cool, it'll wash, but it won't rinse, because why? All cold rinses. If it gets over to rinse, it's going to start dribbling again. So, but there is a workaround, and you can do this if you need to order the part and you've got tons of laundry sitting there on the floor, and you need to do a wash, and you have to order the part, and it's going to be 2 or 3 days before the part comes in, sometimes up to a week. During the COVID crisis it was, but there is a workaround, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. First, I'm going to show you how to change this old valve. So we've determined that this machine needs a new water valve in it, so we're going to work on that. So what we need to do is access it. We're going to take this back panel here off. I've already taken screws off the bottom of it. Alright. Now with this putty knife, we're going to slide it in here. Undo these clips. You just push and pull up. And then we're going to slide this forward and down. Then we're going to need a new one of these. And here we have it right here. Take this out. We're going to take this T20 hex wrench, take these two bolts right here out, follow the wires up to the board and take it loose right here. And it just lifts out and the new one will slide right back in. So let's get started. Okay, so that's how we change a water valve body. So what you want to do is go back here and you have to access this panel. I've already taken this back panel off, and to lay this down you take a putty knife and you just press the clip here and pop it up, and you press the clip here and pop it up, and then push it forward and up. You can see these clips that are right here. So anyway, this is the bad part, this valve body right here, and this is the compromised valve. This one's working fine. So let's fool this machine into thinking that this is the cold water valve and this is the hot water valve. So how can you do that? Well, you're going to have to swap the hoses because you're getting hot water going into the hot water valve and you don't want to tell it it's doing a cold wash. So what we're going to do, we're going to swap these two hoses over, and I'll do that now. I'll get that in that motherboard. So now we're putting our cold water line on the hot water valve. And just for the heck of it, we can put the hot water line on the cold water valve. Let me get the phone. Okay, so now we've changed the hoses over. We have the hot going to the cold and the cold going to the hot. But the machine is still going to open this valve when you select the cold water wash. So we need to fool the machine into thinking that this is a cold water valve. So how are we going to do that? If we look over here at these wires, these leads are going in here, one's blue and one is red, and they're that way for a reason, because this blue wire is telling this machine that this is the cold water valve and this red wire saying this is the hot water valve. So what if we take these connectors off and we swap them over, like so. And now when we turn the machine on, it's going to think this is the cold water valve and this is the hot water valve. So let's just go check that. So let's put it back into service diagnostic mode. Remember, just turn it left any number of times. I stop on 12. 1, 2, 3 to the right. 1 to the left, 1 to the right. All the lights come on. We want these two lights on. So click, click, click. Push the button. We want this light to come on. And we're going to test the cold water valve now. And look at there, plenty of cold water. Let's check the hot water valve. Look at there. Now we have the dribble on the hot water valve, which is actually the cold water valve. So now we can do our wash. Now if you're a service tech and you're still in the field, let's go over these valves. They make two kinds of these valves. They make this interface and they make this interface. And this is the most common right here. And this is less common. Well, guess which one is the most expensive? Well, you guessed it. This is the most expensive. This one right here. Now, suppose you are in the field and you've run across the problem with the water valve and you need to fix it. But what you can do, you can change out the water valve and charge your customer, you know, for a new water valve, because that's what you're doing. The only difference between these two valves right here is this interface. So what I do, I just take the interface I need off the old valve. It's usually already connected to the control board. I just take those off, and if it has a thermistor, I take it off too. So say that's already connected to the control board. This is the bad valve. Throw it away. Take this new valve that is the wrong interface. Take that wire off. Take the thermistor loose. Be careful not to break the little ears on it. And take the hot water side off. And get rid of that. Now this is the one still connected to your machine. So be sure you put the blue wire on the blue valve and the red wire on the red valve, and reattach your thermistor. There you go. Now the only problem you may have with this is the leads on that are about, I don't know, 4 to 6 inches longer than this one. And there's a workaround there too if it won't reach the board. You can see that piece of tape there? Take that tape out and you'll have plenty of reach. And you put a new valve body on your customer's machine, and you use their old wiring harness. That'll work. Also, sometimes when you buy this type of interface, it comes with this little dongle where you can change it over to this type. However, they don't make a dongle to change this type to this type, and they should, because this type is anywhere from $20 to $25 more than that type. Same exact valves. And the only difference between these that I see right here are going to be the type of solenoids they have on them. This solenoid is just as good as this solenoid, and they work on the same voltages, and they'll work in either machine. So anyway, that's all about water valves and the workarounds that I have. So thanks for watching, and give me that thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next one. Chip out.